Hi guys, I'm Alyssa and I'm back with another video. Today I want to share with you my most anticipated reads of 2021, or at least the ones I've found so far. The thing is, I think the latest publication of those I have on my TBR, or most anticipated list, comes out in July, I think, so I don't have anything that's later than that, but I expect that some releases will be announced over the year that will make it to that list. But first and foremost, let's get into the list. I have, I don't know how many, a few, and then I have some that I don't know at what point they come out. I just know that they have a 2021 release date, and then I have some I think that might come out next year, but I haven't seen anything about it. So I'm going to start out with those 4 books that I'm thinking about, and the first one is The Return of the Sorceress by Silvia Moreno Garcia. Obviously I'm on the lookout for more books by her that comes out in the year, and this one just has 2021 as being the publication year. They don't know at what point in 2021 it's going to be. They don't know how long it's going to be. There's not really a lot of stuff about it, but it does have a cover, so yeah. And the other one doesn't have a cover. It's Elizabeth Acevedo's books that comes out next year. It doesn't have a release date either. It just says untitled, and no matter what it is, I'm gonna read it because I've really enjoyed Elizabeth Acevedo's books so far. I've read all of them and I really enjoy them, and they're like an auto pick, auto buy, auto read author for me. And then I have 2 Danish books that I think that there will be releases, but I have no way of finding it. I don't really know how to find out if it does have a release date in 2021, because I have searched on the publisher's website to see if they have like an upcoming book releases kind of thing, or a blog of some kind where they are talking about new releases that comes out, and I haven't been able to find any. So this is my guess. And the first is that the third and final book of the Rosenholm trilogy comes out next year, hopefully. I don't know what the title will be, but it's going to be the last and final book in a trilogy, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how it's all going to tie up. I really enjoyed the first 2 books in this series, and gave both of them 4 stars, so I have high hopes that the last book in that series will be a success as well. Otherwise, I also have the next book in the Julie M. Day series that I read earlier in the year. It's called Saga Kvartetten in Danish. I think it's the Saga Quartet. So I think it's going to be 4 books maybe. And I hope that the second book will come out this year, but I don't know. So I'm anticipating it, but I don't know if it's actually officially coming out in 2021. So I'm just going to mention that it's on the lookout for me. Now we're getting into the actual that has release dates books, and the first 3 books are January releases that I'm interested in, and the first one is Across the Greengrass Fields by Seanan McGuire. I don't think it's a surprise to me that this one is on here. I have read all of the previous books in this series and I really enjoy them, and I usually read them more or less right after the release date, so I'm hoping to get a hold of this book close to the release date so I can read it in January. At least that's my aim, and yeah, we'll see how things goes about that. I love the Wayward Children series. They all offer, each book offers something really unique, and I just enjoy the whimsical part of it. I know it's not for everyone, but every time I pick up a book, I know I'm just going to be content for the next couple of hours that I spent reading this. And they're usually really short reads as well, so they're easy to get through. And then I have a thriller where the cover sort of intrigued me, and that is called If I Disappear by Eliza Jane Brazier, I think that's how I say it. The cover was really intriguing to me, and it says in the blurb, just the first sentence, or the first bold sentence, it says, when her favorite true crime podcast host goes missing, an adrift young woman plunges headfirst into the wild backcountry of Northern California and her own dangerous obsession. So it sounds like some sort of thriller surrounding a podcast element and stuff. It sounds interesting. And yeah. Next up is a science fiction book, and this one comes out on January 26th. And I really am. I looked at this. I've read from the author before and enjoyed it really quite a lot, and I have other books of his on my TBR as well, but this one sounds really interesting. It's called We Could Be Heroes, and when I first saw it, I started singing Heroes by David Bowie, because, you know, we could be heroes just for one day. Anyway, it's science fiction, superhero-like stuff, and it says an extraordinary and emotional adventure about unlikely friends and power of choosing who you want to be. It says Jamie woke up in an empty apartment with no memory and only a few clues to his identity, but with the ability to read and erase other people's memories, a power he uses to hold up banks to buy coffee, cat food and books. Zoe is also searching for her past and using her abilities of strength and speed to deliver fast food, and she'll occasionally put on a cool suit and beat up bad guys if she feels like it. So it sounds a bit like a superhero story, but I just love books that takes on like amnesia tropes and stuff, so this sounded just interesting with Jamie not being able to remember anything. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to reading that one. Now, I also have 3 February releases, so let's get into them. The first one is Winter's Orbit by Everina Maxwell. This is a science fiction book. It has queer or LGBTQ plus representation. I'm not exactly sure what. It says Ancillary Justice meets Red, White and Royal Blue. It's a really weird combo. I haven't read either, but I figure there's a long stretch between Ancillary Justice and Red, White and Royal Blue, but you know, if that's what they need to sell their stuff, then fine. And this is a debut. It says, while the Iskat Empire has long dominated the system through treaties and political alliances, several planets, including Thea, have begun to chafe under Iskat's rule. When tragedy befalls Imperial Prince Tam, his Thean widower Ciannon is rushed into an arranged marriage with Tam's cousin, the disreputable Kiem, in a bid to keep the rising hostilities between the two worlds under control. That was a lot of names that I had a hard time pronouncing. So I'm hoping it's good, and I'm looking for more science fiction books I'm looking to explore more of the science fiction genre, and I hope this is a good fit. The next one is one I have been looking forward to for such a long time. I thought it came out last year for some reason. I just saw the cover floating around. There was a lot of hype around it. But then I noticed that it wasn't going to come out until February this year. Anyway, it's the Gilded Ones by Namina Forna. This is the first in a series called Deathless, and I hope that this will be everything I wanted from Something of Blood and Bone, because there was a controversy about it. I hope that this will be everything that I wanted from that. Anyway, it says 16-year-old Dika lives in fear and anticipation of the blood ceremony that will determine whether she will become a member of her village. Already different from everyone else because of her unnatural intuition, Dika prays for red blood so she can finally feel like she belongs. But on the day of the ceremony, her blood runs gold, the color of impurity, and Dika knows she will face a consequence worse than death. Then a mystery woman comes to her with a choice: stay in the village and submit to her fate, or leave to fight for the emperor in an army of girls just like her. They are called Alaki, near immortals with rare gifts, and they are the only ones who can stop the empire's greatest threat. It sounds really interesting, and the cover intrigued me the moment I saw it. I was just really I just wanted to read it just because of the cover, and now I've been reading about the topic, and I think it sounds like a really decent book. And then the last and final February release is another Sarah Gailey book. I seem to have a Sarah Gailey book every year. I do a most anticipated list or something like that, but I have really been enjoying what I've been reading from them, and they have really excellent topics. Like there's just something about the way that they like lure you in with a plot or something like that. So I'm really hoping to enjoy this one. It says it's The Echo Wife by Sarah Gailey, and it says The Echo Wife is a non-stop thrill ride perfect for readers of Big Little Lies and enthusiasts of Killing Eve and Westworld. And I haven't read Big Little Lies. I haven't watched Killing Eve or Westworld, but you know. It says Martine is a genetically cloned replica made from Evelyn Caldwell's award-winning research. She's patient and gentle and obedient. She's everything Evelyn sworn she'd never be, and she's having an affair with Evelyn's husband. Strange. Now the cheating bastard is dead, and the Caldwell wives have a mess to clean up. Good thing Evelyn Caldwell is used to getting her hands dirty. When they said all happy families are like this, can't be what they meant. So it sounds kind of interesting with clones and stuff. So now we're getting to I have one March release, and before I get to that I definitely have to reread the first one, but it's a Desolation Called Peace by Arkady Martine, the second book in the Teixcalan series. It's a science fiction series that was nominated in the Book to Best of Ever Awards this year, and I really enjoyed it. So I'm hoping that I will really enjoy this one, but I definitely have to reread the first book in order to continue with it. Then next one I have 6 April releases, so that's apparently going to be the big month for me this year. First one is a middle grade, and it comes out on April the 6th. It's called The Gilded Girl by Alyssa Colman. The cover is beautiful. Anyway, it says any child can spark magic, but only the elite are allowed to kindle it. Those denied access to the secrets of the kindling ritual will see their magic snuffed out from before their 13th birthday. Miss Posterity's Academy for Practical Magic is the best kindling school in New York City. And wealthy 12-year-old Emma Harris is accustomed to the best, but when her father dies, leaving her penniless, Emma is reduced to working off her debts of Miss Posterity's alongside Izzy, a daring servant girl who refuses to let her magic be snuffed out, even if society dictates she must. Emma and Izzy reluctantly form a pact. If Izzy teaches Emma how to survive as a servant, Emma will reveal to Izzy what she knows about the magic. So it sounds really, really interesting, and I am definitely looking forward to checking this one out. The next one I have is another science fiction young adult book. It's called Victories Greater Than Death by Charlie Jane Anders. This says a thrilling adventure set against an intergalactic war with international best-selling author Charlie Anders as the helm in her YA debut. Think Star Wars meets Doctor Who and buckle your seatbelts. Then I have a contemporary, which hasn't happened in a while. It's called The Second First Impressions by Sally Thorne. This is, it says, from the USA best-selling author of The Hating Game and 99% Mine comes the clever, funny, and unforgettable story of a muscular, tattooed man hired as an assistant to two old women under the watchful eye of a beautiful retirement home manager. So it says Ruthie Dona has worked the front desk of the Providence luxury retirement villa for 6 years, dedicating her entire adult life for the villa's residents, maintaining the property and guarding the endangered tortoises that live in the villa's gardens. Somewhere along the way she's forgotten that she's young and beautiful, and that there's a world outside of work, until she meets the son of the property developer who just acquired the retirement center. Next up is the next book in the Chronicles of St. Mary series. It doesn't have a cover yet, but it says Another Time, Another Place, and it's the 12th book in the Chronicles of St. Mary's series. Obviously I can't talk much about the plot of this one because it's like 12th in a series. but I'm really looking forward to reading it nonetheless, and I have enjoyed every book. I have read the 11th book. I forgot to talk about that in my October wrap-up. For some reason it just slipped. I had written it down and everything, I just skipped it for some reason when I was filming. So I did read that and really enjoyed it, so I'm really looking forward to reading the next one. The next one here is coming out on April 20th, and that is Witches Steeped in Gold by Ciannon Smart. This is, it says, divided by the castes, united by the vengeance. This is a young adult fantasy. I don't know why young adult fantasy is so present on this. Anyway, Araya has spent her life in a cell. Every day brings her closer to freedom and vengeance. Yasmine is the queen's daughter, but unlike her sister before her, she has no intention of dying to strengthen her mother's power. Sworn enemies, these two witches enter a precarious alliance to take down a mutual threat. But revenge is a bloody pursuit, and nothing is certain except the lengths that they will go to win the game. And deadly fierce and magnetically addictive, this Jamaican-inspired fantasy debut is a thrilling journey where dangerous magic reigns supreme and betrayal lurks beneath every word. Next up is coming out on April 27th, Folklorn by Yeung. Sorry if I'm... This is sort of magical realism, so I don't know how, and mythology, I don't know how fantastical it is, but it is a genre-defined continent-spanning saga of Korean myth, scientific discovery, and abiding love that binds even the most broken of families. Elsa Park is a particle physicist at the top of her game, stationed at a neutrino observatory in the Antarctic. Confident she's put enough distance between her ambitions and the family ghost she's run from all her life, but it isn't long before her childhood imaginary friend, an achingly familiar spectral woman in the snow, comes to claim her at last. Years ago, Elsa's new catatonic mother had warned her that the women of the line were doomed to repeat the narrative lives of their ancestors from Korean myth and legend. But beyond these ghosts, Elsa also faces more earthly fate, the mental illness and generational trauma that runs in her immigrant family, a sickness no less ravenous than the ancestral curse haunting her. Anyway, it sounds interesting, and it's set in like with Korean myths and everything, so it sounded really interesting, and also the setting and also just everything. It just sounds very interesting to me. Yeah, so now we're getting into the May releases, and I have 3 of those. The first one of those is Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. This is the 3rd book by Andy Weir. I hated Artemis quite a lot. I detested it, but I love The Martian so much, and this one sounds more in the vein of the Martian book than Artemis, so that's why I'm super excited. Anyway, it says a lone astronaut must save the Earth from a disaster in this incredible new science-based thriller from #1 New York Times bestselling author of The Martian. Ryan Grace is the sole survivor on a desperate last chance mission, and if he fails, humanity and Earth itself will perish, except that right now he doesn't know that. He can't even remember his own name, let alone the nature of his assignment or how to complete it. All he knows is that he's been asleep for a very long time, and he's just been awakened to find himself millions of miles from home with nothing but 2 corpses for company. Have I mentioned that I enjoy amnesia tropes and stuff? Because this sounds like that. But then add a mystery, and then in outer space, like, it just sounds like a lot of interesting plot lines that can go on in this book, and I'm really looking forward to it. So I'll pre-order when I get closer to. Anyway, next up, another May release is another middle grade book, and this one is The Shape of Thunder by Yasmine Warga. I read Other Words for Home by Yasmine Warga in November, and I really enjoyed it. And it packed so much, and I want to read more of her books. And when I saw that this came out, I was really interested in reading it, and it also sounds very interesting. So it's a little says it's realistic fiction, so I think the plot sounds fun. Anyway, Cora hasn't spoken to her best friend Quinn in a year. Despite living next door to each other, they exist in a separate world. They exist in separate worlds of grief. Cora is still grappling with the death of her beloved sister in a school shooting, and Quinn is carrying the guilt of what her brother did. On the day of Cora's 12th birthday, Quinn leaves a box on her doorstep with a note. She has decided that the only way to fix things is to go back in time to the moment before her brother changed all their lives forever and stop him. In spite of herself, Cora wants to believe, and so the two former friends begin working together to open a wormhole in the fabric of the universe. But as they attempt to unravel the mysteries of time travel to save their siblings, they learn that the magic of the friendship may actually be the key to saving themselves. So it sounds heartbreaking and difficult, but also like great with a good friendship and all, and I am really looking forward to reading it. The last of the May releases is another fantasy. It's a Master of Djinn by P. Jolly Clark. This is the third book set in a Fatima el-Sharawi, I think, I don't know how to pronounce that, series. The second book it was Haunting of Tramcar 15. This is set in Cairo, and it explores some really interesting Djinn magic and stuff. So I really would like to get back to this series or this. Now I don't have any books that comes out in June currently, but I have 2 July releases. The first one is Survive the Night by Riley Sager. I still have yet to read a Riley Sager book before until now. I started on Home Before Dark and enjoyed what I read, but it expired before I could finish it, and I am definitely going to try and read all of his books at one point, but I'm going to attempt starting out with Survive the Night in next year, or maybe I will start with something else, but I'm definitely interested in reading this. So it says it's November 1991. George H.W. Bush is in the White House. Nirvana's in the tape deck, and movie-obsessed college student Charlie Jordan is in a car with a man who might be a serial killer. Riley Sager has got a lot of praise, and I think understandably so. Next up, I have another July release. It doesn't have a cover, but it does say it's called The Spare Man, and it's by Mary Robinette Kowal. It says with all the glittering banter of 1930s noir, this novel takes class, privilege and identity theft and wraps them inside a murder mystery. So, Tesla Crane, heiress to the Crane fortune, and Shalman Sear Stewart, a retired private detective, are on their honeymoon cruise from Earth to Mars. When Shal is framed for murder, Tesla has to find the murderer before they try to silence her husband. So, murder mystery in space, I think. I am interested in reading everything by Mary Robinette Kowal after reading her Lady Astronaut books. And finally, I have another Silvia Moreno Garcia book. This one doesn't have a cover yet, but it's called Velvet Was the Night by Silvia Moreno Garcia, and it says it's 1970s Mexico City. Maid is a secretary who lives for one thing, the latest issue of Secret Romance. While student protests and political unrest consume the city, Maid escapes into stories of passion and danger. Her next door neighbor, Leonora, a beautiful art student, seems to live a life of intrigue and romance that Maid envies. And when Leonora disappears under suspicious circumstances, Maid finds herself searching for the missing woman and journeying deeper into Leonora's secret life of student radicals and dissidents. So this is a thriller, so I'm thinking maybe this has the sort of same vibe as maybe like Mexican Gothic kind of thing, where the other book I had on my list is more a fantastical fairy tale with like book in the vein of Gods of Jade and Shadow. So yeah, this was my list for this year. I feel like I have a lot of books on here. but I know I don't have any from the second half of the year, so maybe I am going to do another most anticipated when I get closer to the end of the year and do a video about those. If you're interested in hearing about them, let me know in the comments down below what your most anticipated release of the year is going to be. Let me know if you have any of my books on your list as well. That would be kind of fun to figure out. And yeah, this was everything. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next video very soon. Bye.